Okay, and we are back. What is up, everyone? Welcome back to the stream. It's me. It's M.D.Tenebris. I'm back again to bring you some more mediocre gaming. Below me on the screen, I have two links. There is a red link that's to my YouTube channel, the M.D.Tenebris Gaming YouTube channel. If you like what you see today, feel free to go and check it out. There's Polytopia. There's some Pokemon PTCGL games. And so feel free to go check out the whole back catalog. You can like, you can subscribe. If you click the bell, it will let you know when there are new videos available. The purple link is to my Twitch. That's where I am now. I'm here on Saturdays at 2 and on Wednesdays at 6:30. So if you want to come, interact with me, join the chat, talk to me live, feel free to do it there at those times. There's also in the information box a link to a Discord channel. If you want to get me offline, talk to me about any of the games I play or anything in general, feel free to do it there. This will be the second video in a two-part series on the tribe guide. So if you haven't seen the first video, it is on all of the regular tribes. Feel free to pause this, go and check it out. It is quite a long video. There are timestamps if you want to jump to a specific tribe that you happen to love. This video will be all about the special tribes that are in the game. So these tribes are the AQUARION, the AQUARION, the ycz, the POLARIS, and the CYMANTI tribes. So in this video, we will be discussing their tech trees, their technology trees, their different units, and the various aspects of their gameplay. Next up, we have the special tribes. The special tribes do not use this technology tree. That is what makes them special. The tribes have their own variations of the technology tree. We're going to start with the AQUARION. Now, the AQUARION are unique because they are currently going through a beta. So, if you want to play AQUARION on the mobile, you're going to be playing with the old skin. I'm going to be going over the new beta that they're releasing for this tribe. So they're going through a rework currently. I have access to the beta. If you play on Steam, you can easily type in the code and you can get access to the beta as well. You can play with all of the new AQUARION units. I have on my YouTube channel, the MDTenebris Gaming YouTube channel, an AQUARION unit breakdown. I have already gone over this tribe when I was first playing with them because I got very excited when the beta came out, but we're going to go over it again for the sake of this video. So the AQUARION are mermen, right? They are fish people. They live in the water. They excel on their own flooded terrain, but they are less effective on land, right? So we're going to pick this quick. As you can see, these are all the game modes that you can do. So this is how the game looks when you open it up. This is the square. So the AQUARION look like this. As you can see, the unit that you start with is a merperson. They can move a normal amount on their land. This is flooded land. This guy can also, if we end the turn, this guy can immediately move out onto the water. This is not something any other tribe can do. Even the Kiku, you have to put a port down to get your guy out on the water. They do not have a skin. There is only one special tribe with a skin, and that is the ycz, and the skin is fucking cool. So we're going to go into that later. So it's the first special tribe that was created. This is what their tile looks like. This is a flooded land tile. You can tell because it is so bright and it's got these holes in it, right? So this is their food. This is their turtle things, termelons. This is their forest. It's like a seaweed kelp forest. This is their mountain. And this is their civilization. It's very Atlantean looking in design. Very kind of cool. We're going to go over the tech tree now. So this is the riding tech. You get the amphibian, right, who can go onto the water. This is your rider. He rides the turtle melon. They have the tridentian here, which is your knight. But these are ranged, so these are not the same as knights. The thing about knights when you play the game is if you have a knight that is next to a unit that has 10 HP or less, unless it's a defender, the knight should be able to kill that unit, and if there is another unit nearby that is also equally weak, they can kill that unit. So you will get these chains of attacks where the knight can kill multiple units per turn because you have all these units next to each other. The tridentians do not operate like that. The tridentians have spearing, so the tridentians are a ranged unit. They are basically a ranged rider. They can move very far and they can throw their spear. They cannot, like a rider, flee once again after they attack. That has been removed with this beta update. The next one we're going to look at is the waterways. Waterways gives you access to the flood ability, and it gives you atoll, right? An atoll is a building that you put next to your city that can connect it to other cities within a certain number of squares. This is how you connect your cities, because obviously that would be where roads is. So you don't get roads with the AQUARION. You get the atoll. That's how you connect your cities, and you get that monument. We also have marine life. This is where your sailing would be, right? This is what your sailboat would be. Marine life, you get sharks. Sharks are pretty cool. They have the surprise ability, so enemies do not retaliate when you attack. This ability is very similar to the Cloak ability. Cloak is a very unique unit because it has 5 HP, so it's very weak. It does not attack, so what it does is it can move very far, and it's invisible. And it will move, you move your Cloak to your opponent's city, and you attack the city with the Cloak. The Cloak will then spawn a number of units called daggers that have the ability to attack without being retaliated against, based on how strong that city is. So if you come across a level 2 city, you attack it with a Cloak, you get 2 daggers. These sharks have recently been updated to also have the surprise ability. These guys used to be very similar to rammers, and they gave them access to the surprise ability. Now after the shark, you have the navigation. So you get access to the star harvesting as well, but you also get these yelly bellies, which are very fun. They're like giant jellyfish. These guys, they cannot attack units. You move them into an area, and every tile around them receives damage. So these guys do not do splash damage in the classic sense. Anything around them that moves into the space near them gets hit. They offer the opportunity to control large areas of territory, which is very cool. And they are there to replace the bomber. So one of the things they were thinking about with the AQUARION update is, why would mermen and fishermen have boats? So they got rid of all of the boats for the AQUARION, and they gave you sharks instead, and you get yelly bellies instead. You have these tridentians instead of riders. Every single unit of AQUARION can go onto the water. So what else is different about this? Aqua farms. You do get the normal farms that you can build on your land here. On these tiles, these shallow water tiles, you can also get aqua farms, which will give you 2 population as well, and they basically serve the same purpose as a farm. AQUARION have a very weird economy because of the water basis of their civilization, so having access to this secondary version of a farm is actually pretty useful. So the shields, mermaid defenders, they have shells, which are kind of cool. And the recent update that they did to the beta was the catapults. They got rid of the catapults and they added these puffers, right? Now the puffer has a drench ability, which basically is because your rider could only move 1 space when it was on land. So now this is all drenched land. This is all flooded land. The rider can move like a normal rider would across drenched land. So they added this pufferfish, and the pufferfish drenches the land that it hits, right? So you can basically pre-drench land. You can drench your opponent's land near their city to help your units move around, and it gives you a little more flexibility when it comes to playing the AQUARION Tribe. I keep clicking on that one. I'm meant to be clicking on the tech tree one. So that is the AQUARION tech tree. It's very different. These are the buildings for the AQUARION, very Atlantean looking. These are the monuments for the AQUARION. And on top of that, the giant unit for each of the special tribes is not the same as a normal giant. If you are playing with any of these other tribes, as you can see from here, the giant is just a giant man, right, with the skin. The crab is the giant for the AQUARION. So the giant, 40 health, 5 attack, 4 defense, 1 range, and 1 movement. 40 health. So the crab has 1 more level of defense than the giant, but it has 1 less level of attack. And the crab can move a little farther than the giant, which is cool. It can also move farther on water. So that is the crab units of the AQUARION Tribe. The giants of all of the special tribes are different. The next one we're going to go over is Yczyrrion. Yczyrrion are elves, right? The mysterious Yczyrrion defend their woodland homes with colorful magic and fire-breathing dragons. So as you can see, the giant unit is not it's not a man, it's not a giant man, it's a dragon. So Yczyrrion have a different tech tree as well. They have a 0.5 spawn rate for mountains. They have a 1.5 spawn rate for forests. This is the tile. They have this fun pink vibe going. Their fruit are a flower that you harvest. They have unicorns, and they have these interesting building looking things here. So, why are Illyrian special? The Illyrian tech tree, you start with forest magic. You cannot hunt when you are playing the Illyrian. You cannot chop down trees when you are playing Illyrian. You can convert your animals into units. So Illyrian actually have a very interesting start because you can use the stars to turn those guys into units, or you can buy a tech tree. Now, another thing that runs the Illyrian economy is this sanctuary here. This produces 1 star for each nearby wild animal per turn. So the idea is you build one. This would be a great start because you build one here, and then you would spawn a new animal on each of these every 2 turns. For each forest you have an animal on, you get an extra star per turn. Now, obviously, when you level up your city, you'd probably aim for border growth, because then you would have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 immediate stars per turn that you get just from building the sanctuary there. Now, the interesting thing about Illyrian is you cannot chop down forests. So when you chop down a forest with any other tribe, you get 1 star. You cannot chop down the forests with Illyrian, which makes them a little less flexible in terms of how you structure your city. What you normally do is you have your sanctuary here, you run off the sanctuary for a bit, and then towards the later stages of the game, you start building lumber huts to replace the sanctuary, because you don't need all of these early game units. Then you can destroy the sanctuary and you can build yourself a sawmill in its place. Alright, so everything else is the same. That is the only difference in the tech tree, is the forest magic and the sanctuary, rather than the hunting and the cutting down of the trees. Now, Illyrian is the only special tribe that has a skin, and it is fucking cool, right? So instead of animals, you end up with these tombstones. These are the dark elves. These are dark magic Illyrian. They're like necromancers. So rather than having a unicorn that you evolve into a polytar, you have these tombstones that you evolve into demons. That's right. This is very, very sick. The dragon, they're a very unique unit because they can fly. They do gain terrain defensive bonuses, but they're not hindered by the terrain. They can move very far. They're ranged units. They do splash damage. They fire fireballs. They are very, very cool. They are one of the only giant units that can move and attack on the same turn. They have a lower HP. So the dragon, normally, when you spawn a giant, it spawns in your city. So if your city is under siege, a lot of the time people will try and get a giant, because when it spawns, it pushes the unit off. You can't have 2 units on the same tile. A dragon egg does not offer the same thing, because when you push the unit off, they can then just attack your dragon egg. Your dragon egg has only 10 HP. It cannot attack, has a low defense of 2. It can move 1 square per turn, and it does not do any damage. So the interesting thing is it takes 3 turns, and your dragon egg will hatch into a baby dragon. The baby dragon is similar to a rider. It can move very far, it can attack, and it can flee after it attacks, right? The baby dragon has 15 HP, 3 attack, 3 defense. So it's not a super strong unit, but it is far more useful than an egg. Now the dragon, after 3 turns, your baby dragon will turn into a fire dragon. So the fire dragon is very powerful. It has 20 HP. Your fire dragon can move many tiles. It can attack on the same turn, and it does splash damage to all of the units around the unit that you attack, making it very powerful. Because of that, they have reduced its HP. Unlike a normal giant with 40, it only has 20 HP, but it's so powerful, and it can move so far that it makes up for that. The dragon takes 6 turns to get, right? So you start with an egg, and you have to wait 6 turns before you have your fire dragon, which makes Illyrian a very strong late mid-game to late-game tribe, because they have these huge dragons flying around that you've taken a couple of turns to evolve. If you have a couple of dragons, it's very hard to stop them. And the midnight skin, you get dark dragons. So your dragons are all black. They're very cool. Your sanctuaries become crypts, right? So you end up having graveyard horror theme. versus this happy daytime theme that you have with the elves. And their riding goes from a unicorn, it goes to a wolf. So you get to ride these awesome kind of Fenrir wolf things, which are very cool. So these are the buildings for the yczrion. These are their monuments right here. And then as you get down, we're going to see the skin change. So everything is darker, it's gloomier. These are their cities, right? And these are their monuments. yczrion are very cool. They're quite a strong tribe at this point. Because of how effective their economy is when it comes to transferring the sanctuary into like a sawmill and having the lumber huts and everything. It's a very interesting tribe. The third tribe in the special tribes is the Polaris. This is an Arctic-based tribe. So they have the same spawn rates as Imperius, right? But what Polaris does is when Polaris captures city, they freeze everything around it. So this will look like the woolly mammoth. Those trees will look like these trees. Those fruit will look like this fruit. And this is what the mountain looks like. Now, interestingly enough, this is also what the Dark yczrion tribe does. When you have the dark elves from the yczrion skin, when they conquer a new city, they also transform that into what their normal city looks like. So the trees change, the animals change, everything becomes Dark yczrion. So when you're playing Polaris or where you're playing Dark yczrion, it does this really nice thing of allowing you to convert the whole map to look the way that your tribe normally is themed. So they have a slightly different tech tree. They start with the frostwork, which gives them this Mooney. Now the Mooney freezes all of the land around it, so you can spread your ice across the land. It's a very interesting design. It cannot attack. It does not have any attack. It's got 10 HP, and it will freeze water. So you can turn water into ice with the Mooney, which makes a lot of sense because polarism is one of the tech tree things that you have. It gives you glide. It allows all your non-skating units to move a little further on ice. You have things like sledding. You do not have any boats, right? They've gotten rid of the boats, similar to the AQUARION. You've got sleds here, which are the replacement for your sailboats. These are not ranged. These are more like riders. They travel very far. They can hit. If they're on ice, they can flee. If they're not, they are stuck. If they are on normal land, they can only move one tile at a time. If they're on ice, they can move multiple tiles at a time. So you basically have a second type of rider when it comes to the Polaris, similar to a swordsman. And then the last one is the Ice Fortress here. So this is replacing your bomber. This does not do splash damage. This is a single target unit. It has a decent amount of health, decent attack. It has one less range than a catapult. So frequently, if you're going against Polaris, you'll need to go and develop your catapults so that you can counter the ice fortresses, because these things take a little while to take down and they do a decent amount of damage. We have the ice bank. So if you look on this normal tech tree, you have trade. Now this trade market building, it gains a level for every resource building around it. So if you have a sawmill that is level 3 because it's got 3 lumber huts around it, your trade market is going to be a level 3 trade market, and it is going to give you 3 stars a turn. Now the idea is you get a windmill close to it, you get your sawmill close to it, you get your forge close to it, and the trade market caps out at 8 out of 8 levels, which means you can get an extra maximum of 8 stars per turn from a trade market. So Polaris has removed the trade market from the tech tree. You instead get a snowbank. The snowbank produces 2 stars for every 20 frozen tiles in the world. This obviously makes a ton of sense because your Mooney is going to be freezing tiles. When you conquer cities, you're going to be freezing tiles. You can only have 1 ice bank. You can have multiple markets. You can put 1 market next to each resource building if you want. They can all get to level 8. The snowbank, you can only have 1 per map, and it takes into consideration all of the different tiles that you have that are frozen tiles, and you get 2 stars per frozen tile for the ice bank. So these are their buildings, right? Very igloo kind of themed buildings. These are the monuments here. They do not have a skin. And the GAAMI is their giant unit. Now the GAAMI, similar to the Mooney, freezes all of the units around it, right? So that's something I didn't go into. When you play with the Mooney, when you play with this guy, he freezes all of the tiles around him. He doesn't have an attack, but he will freeze units. So the unit that gets frozen cannot attack on its next turn. Similar, they have archers that are ice archers instead of normal archers. An ice archer does not do any damage. It simply can freeze a unit at range so that that unit cannot attack on the next turn. So the GAAMI is the third unit that does the freezing. A GAAMI cannot attack and move on the same turn. When it takes a step forward, it freezes all of the units around it, so none of those units can attack. It has 30 HP, so it's in between the giant and the dragon. It has 4 attack and 3 defense. And they used to have skis, I guess. That's kind of funny. So a very cool looking ice-themed giant that you get. So they start with the Imperious resource spawn rate, as I said, but they convert it to their own, just like the Dark Illyrion convert the surrounding landscape into their own theme. So you got the mammoth as their resources. You got these frozen fruit, which is their food. They got frozen forest. They got this nice ice mountain here. So the final tribe is the CYMANTI, and this is by far the most out there tribe you can get. These are normal people that have a bug parasite on their head controlling their brains, right? They are led by a shaman. So the starting unit of the CYMANTI is a shaman. As you can see, their giant is a centipede. Their rider is this hexapod animal that looks like a spider. Their boats are the yczi, which are these aquatic insects. Often you will hear people complaining because the CYMANTI are considered one of the strongest units in the game. That is because not only can they have their city evolved by the start of the next turn, but their units are very cheap and very hard to deal with. They have a very, very strong early game, so a lot of new players struggle against CYMANTI. So as you can see, they have the most modified technology of any tribe. They have a ton of very unique units that you don't get with any other tribe. They have a 1.2 spawn rate for mountains. So they have very dark, vibrant green grass. Their food is water, right? It's these water droplets here. Very, very fun. You get these grubs that are their animals that look kind of like sheep. This is their forest. This is their cities, and this is their mountain. This is how their cities look. A very cocoon kind of style, right? Or like termite mound kind of design, which is very fun. They do not have a skin. And this is how their monuments look. So we're going to look at the tech tree here. So their riding are these hexapods. They have very low HP. They do a lot of damage. They have the ability to creep, so they can move past tough terrain. They're not influenced by mountains and forest as much. They have sneak, which means they can move past units. This is what I was talking about with the defenders. When you have a unit there, it's hard for a unit to move past it. Hexapods can move past units. They do not have the same effect of gravity that other units have. So obviously your hunting is this. If the riding is different, the riding tree is different, what are their knights? Well, their knights are these Dumuks. These Dumuks have 20 HP. They have the creep ability as well, and they have the explode ability. So this is something that is carried on with the giants of the CYMANTI. Centipedes can actually move very far, and they can attack on the same turn. They only have 20 HP, so they are the same HP level as a dragon, right? They can attack on the same turn. When they kill a unit, they spawn this segment behind them, right? So when you attack a unit, you move on to that unit's tile. The tile they used to be on, they spawn a segment on, right? This segment, you can explode this segment. When you explode something, when it's the Dumuks or it's the segment, it splashes all of the surrounding tile units with a poison, right? And the poison reduces their defense, so it makes them easier to kill. It also makes them very overpowered at the lower elos because newer players are not experienced. They don't know how to play against it. You will see on the subreddit all the time, the Polytopia subreddit, people complaining that CYMANTI needs to be nerfed, it's too strong. But that is the centipede. If you kill the head of the centipede, the next segment becomes the head. So it does this interesting thing where you kind of have to destroy the segments before you kill the centipede, or you just end up with another full health centipede. Now, the centipede, the segment has 10 HP. So these are perfect for knights, because if you get a knight to the back of a centipede, you can chain through every single segment of the centipede, which is very cool. It's very fun to watch. It's very fun to do. I'm gonna go back into the tree. You have the Dumux here. They have the explode ability, so you can just pop a Dumux. So if your opponent has attacked your Dumux, whittled its HP down, you can now just explode your Dumux. You can poison everything around it. Roads is different. You have this mycelium building that you get. It operates similar to the atoll. You put it next to your city. Any building with any city within 3 tile radius or any mycelium, it connects it. It creates a connection. It expands how far your units can walk by 1. It also heals any friendly unit that is surrounding it. So you end your turn. When it becomes your turn again, all your units that are surrounding your mycelium are healed. So instead of the water, you have the Reichi. You have hydrology here instead of the rammers. Now hydrology allows you to grow algae on your water tiles. You only have 1 water unit, the Reichi. You need to expand your borders whenever you have a water bordering city, because you can only build hydrology algae within your borders, right? If you have roads, if you have the road tech, you can build roads on neutral land. You cannot build them on opponent land, but the algae, you can only build it within your borders. So you would basically build that on the water, and it allows all of your units to walk on the algae. Now the interesting thing is the trade, you do not have a trade market, you do not have a snowbank, you have a Clathrus. So the Clathrus produces 1 star for each nearby algae each turn. So the idea is, so you can build an algae here, right? And you would put your Clathrus here, and you would have access to 3 stars per turn from that Clathrus, right? That's how that tech tree works. That's how you generate more econ later on in the game, is you have to build this Clathrus. So Cymanti have this very interesting dynamic where you have to develop your cities in a way that give you access to the water. You have these very strong land units that cannot cross the water. It's a very interesting design. I wanted to talk about the Khitan as well. The Khitan are your defenders. So anyone that attacks them, they get poisoned, and poison losers use all defensive bonuses. So if they're on a forest, if they're on a mountain, no defensive bonus, they lose their defensive bonus. We also have in here the recycling, right? This allows you to decompose things like ports. It allows you to destroy buildings and stuff, because there is no destroying the buildings on the chivalry tech. You don't have chivalry anymore. This allows you to get rid of ports from opponent cities that you have captured, so that you can put down your algae with the hydrology tech. So instead of a mindbender, you get a shaman, right? And as you can see from this, you start the game with a shaman. Now the shaman has 2 powers, right? If the shaman attacks an opponent unit, it converts it to be your unit. If you do not move your shaman in a turn, you can boost all of your surrounding units. This guy would normally be able to only move 1. He can now move 2. So what you do with the boost is you allow your unit to move 1 extra space, giving the Cymanti a huge ability to expand early game. And your unit also does more attack damage if it attacks someone. When it attacks a unit, it loses its boost status. If it captures a city, it loses its boost status. And another thing that makes Cymanti strong are these. These are spores, right? You can turn the spores into fungi, right? That is the starting tech you have. That's the farming tech. And it gives you 2 populations. So as you can see, it's given us 1 population. When we end the turn, it gives us another population. We get to level up our city. So this is how the game works. You level up your city. You get to make a decision. If you pick a workshop, you get 1 extra star. If you pick an explorer, it gives you a lot of vision over the map. If you do not have fishing, if you do not have a way to get out on the water, your explorer will not go on the water. If you don't have climbing, can't cross mountains. So the explorer is as limited as your units are with which tech you have. So this guy can move. He cannot attack and move. As you see, he's gone gray. Very similar to a mindbender. If he attacks an opponent unit, it becomes your unit. The interesting thing about these spores is when you explode a unit like a Dumux, or you explode the segment of your centipede, you release spores where that unit was. So you don't just lose nothing when you explode your Doomux. You get splash damage to all of your opponent's units. It's a little bit, they get poisoned, so they have no more defense bonuses, and you get, on the tile the Doomux was, you get spores. Now spores, when they are fungi, they will poison opponent units that stand on them. So if I move a unit, if this was an opponent unit and it was on this square, it would be poisoned, it would lose all defensive bonuses. So the Cymanti also have this interesting defensive aspect to them with the poison status. Now, we also have in here, in the mathematics thing, instead of the catapult, similar to the pufferfish, we have the idŋighţ, I think that's how you say it. The idŋighţ has splash damage. It is a catapult, so it cannot attack and move on the same turn. It does not do as much damage as a catapult. It has a little bit more defense. It moves a little bit farther, I believe, and it does splash damage. So even though it's not doing as much damage to the main target, it splashes the other people around with poison, so that will reduce any defense bonuses. The archers of your Cymanti are not humans. They are these phyki. They are these dragonfly-looking things. They do not have a lot of attack, but they poison anyone that they hit, and they fly. So when you have a map like this, you would use your phyki to travel out across the water to explore. They are ranged, so they can do damage from afar. They poison. They can reduce the defensive bonus of your opponent's units, making them easier to take out for the rest of your units. And that is the interesting part about Cymanti, is you have two units that can traverse water, being the phyki and the yczi, and aside from that, everything else requires algae. So often, when people are playing, they'll play ranked, they'll play smaller maps, which allows the game to be faster, and they'll play dry lands because it favors a lot of the tribes. Favors Cymanti the most because there's no water. So there's now no limitation on the Cymanti in terms of the majority of their units. The only unit that suffers is the yczi. So you just don't build the yczi, and that's fine. So that is the Cymanti in a nutshell. Very, very different tech tree. So Cymanti is not the best tribe to start with as a beginner because it has the biggest difference from a regular tribe. So you have to learn an entirely new way to play. However, it is one of the stronger tribes. It is one of the easier tribes to play. So it balances that out, and it is actually very good for beginners because of that. So often Cymanti players will not be as good at regular tribes because the Cymanti tribe is so different and has such a different play style. It is the most different tribe out of all of the tribes. So that's it. That's the tribe breakdown. We went over all 12 of the regular tribes. We went over all 4 of the special tribes. I believe they are considering adding a new special tribe. It might be the Ancients. If you want to learn more about that, go and check out the wiki. Go and read about the lore of the tribes. And we went over all of the skins. So now if you're considering buying a skin, you've been able to hear the tune, the theme song of the skin. You've been able to look at how the creatures look. You understand which of the tribes has what advantages and disadvantages in terms of their starting tech and the strategies that they build out of. And you've been able to look at the special tribes. So obviously these all, if you buy this game on Steam, you get all of the regular tribes for free. You have to pay for the skins. You have to buy the special tribes on both versions of the game. If you're on mobile, you get the first 4 tribes for free, and then you have to pay to play any of the other tribes. It's a one-time purchase. You get to access that tribe. If you want to buy the skins on the mobile, that is an extra purchase you have to make, and you have to buy all of the special tribes on mobile as well. So if you want to play multiplayer on mobile, you can play multiplayer free here. It's totally easy for me. I can just start a random game, bada bam. On mobile, if you want to play multiplayer, you have to buy another tribe. So that's why I did this video, because a lot of the time people will be like, what tribe should I buy? What should I invest my money in terms of, I have a mobile, I have to buy one of these tribes. Now you can look at this, you can look at these tribes, you can look at the skins, you can be like, what kind of vibe do I want to go for? What do I like the theme of? What do I like the aesthetic of? What would I like, perhaps like to buy a skin? You know, like oftentimes people will be like, you know, I might not get the Vengir, but the Vengir skin is awesome, or the Kiku skin is awesome, so maybe I'll go that way. So now you have a basic understanding of how that all works. Oh, that's the cool thing about these tribes, is each one is a very unique experience in comparison. As I said, all of these tribes, as you can see, they all use the same tech tree. This is the Zinji tech tree, but this is the same tech tree for every single regular tribe. The only difference that you have between the tribes that affects the gameplay is, or the spawn rate of their resources, and the starting tech, right, that you have, because it opens up different lines of the tree, gives you different opportunities. The starting tech and the spawn rate really influence the strategy that you can play in the early game with each of these tribes. And then obviously towards the later game, you get access to more of the tech tree. Each of the tribes kind of become more similar, and your own play style can kind of come out and develop at that rate. I wanted to show this Easter egg for anyone that's stuck around. Anyone can do this. You click and hold at the background, and the sun will rise. You got to hold it for like 15 to 20 seconds. There we go. There we go. I'm not tripping out. So you got to hold it for like 15, 20, maybe 30 seconds, and you get the same background as the opening menu. It can become a little garish once you play for a little while with the pink and the yellow. It's very bright. It's very intoxicating. But that's a fun little Easter egg if you manage to stick around this long in the video. If you want to learn about the other Easter eggs, they're on the wiki. That's it. That's all I got. That's every regular tribe and every special tribe explained a little bit. Tech trees explored a little bit. Aesthetic considered. Themes looked at. So, okay. So that is going to be it from me today. I hope that everyone that came along for the stream had a good time. I had a great time. I love going over this game. I love looking at all the different dynamics, all of the thought and care that they've put into it. And I love it. I think it's great. And I think more people will get a kick out of it. So, below me on the screen, I have two links. There is a red link. That is to my YouTube channel, the MDTenebris Gaming YouTube channel. If you like what you saw today, feel free to go and check it out. You might already be there. I got videos on Polytopia. I got videos on Pokemon TCG Live. So, whatever floats your boat, you can like, you can subscribe. If you click the bell, it will let you know when there are new videos available. Purple link is to my Twitch. That's where I am now. I'm here on Saturdays at 2 and on Wednesdays at 6:30. I also stream sporadically inside and outside of those times. But if you want a regular system and you want to know that I'm going to be here for sure, you can follow me in the Discord. I put stream announcements in the Discord. If a stream is canceled, it will be in the Discord. But yeah, come to Twitch. You can chat to me live. You can hang out. You can give me advice on my stupid moves in the game. And you can, yeah, feel free to follow. And support the stream there. There is also in the information box a link to that Discord channel. If you want to get me offline, talk to me about any of the games or anything in general, you can do it at that spot. So, I'd like to thank everyone that came along for the stream today. And you, the viewer at home, if you're watching this on Twitch or on YouTube after the facts, I appreciate the support. I hope you're enjoying the content. Feel free to like and subscribe or to follow wherever you are. And I hope you're enjoying it. I hope to put out some valuable stuff for people. Okay. Wherever you are in the world, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Hope you get a very good night rest tonight. I hope you wake up fully functional and pumped and excited to take on the rest of your week. That is going to be it from me today. This is M.D.Tenebris. I am signing off. So take it easy. Peace out and adios. Thanks for coming. Appreciate you. Bye.